In the VEX Cortex system, the VEXnet joystick enables more than just the remote steering of your robot. It also provides the wireless communication link between your computer and the VEX Cortex, enabling you to download Robot C firmware, programs, and run the debugger, all wirelessly. These powerful features are made possible by a processor inside of the device, which follows instructions provided by its firmware. Each VEXnet joystick has a version of the firmware preloaded on it, but to ensure that yours has the latest improvements and is fully compatible with Robot C, you will need to update it to the latest version. In this lesson, you will learn how to update the VEXnet joystick with the latest firmware using Robot C. Before we begin, make sure you have a USB A to A cable and the latest version of Robot C for Cortex and PIC is installed on your computer. Now begin by connecting the VEXnet joystick to your computer using the USB A to A cable. Open Robot C and make sure that it is configured to work with the VEX Cortex system. Go to Robot, Platform Type, Innovation First IFI, and select either VEX 2.0 Cortex or Natural Language VEX Cortex. Now go to View, select Communication Port. Under the Communications Port drop-down list, you should see Automatic Selection and one of two additional options. If your VEXnet joystick is loaded with an older version of the firmware, or in a special bootload mode, it will appear as a USB wired cable option. If it is loaded with a newer version of the firmware, it will appear as a VEX Robotics COM port. You can choose either the USB wired cable or VEX Robotics COM port option, or keep Automatic Selection as your communication port. Now go to the Robot menu, select Download Firmware, and choose Automatically Update VEXnet Joystick. A message will appear informing you that Robot C will update your VEXnet joystick with the latest version of the firmware. Press OK to begin the process. A download progress window will appear and begin the firmware download. Once it's finished, the download progress window will close. In this lesson, you learned how to update the firmware on your VEXnet joystick using Robot C. Note that this process is only necessary once when you start working with the VEX Cortex robotics system or when you update to a newer version of Robot C. You do not need to re-download the firmware to the VEXnet joystick each time you use it or when you swap out the batteries. Before you can use the joystick to download Robot C programs or control the robot, you will need to pair it with the Cortex and make sure it's properly calibrated.